Good evening. About 50 people usually attend the Sunday morning service in Sutherland Springs, a small town outside San Antonio, Texas. More than half the congregation was killed, almost everyone else injured, when a man wearing body armour opened fire with what was believed to be a legal assault rifle. Once again, a US president expressed grief. Once again, there were offers of thoughts and prayers, and once again, the calls for gun reform rang out. The 26 Texas killings brought the total number of shooting deaths across America on the weekend to 69, or more than 13,000 for the year so far. Police, who are still unsure of any motive for the massacre, say the ages of those killed ranged from 72 to 5.
Sunday morning, and like many other Americans, the residents of the tiny town of Sutherland Springs were innocently worshipping when a gunman opened fire on the congregation. Emergency crews rushing to the scene of the First Baptist Church as residents nearby took cover.
We had no idea if it was one person or if it was more, we didn't know.
And be with us, dear, as we learn to deal with these days to come.
Prayers and tears as people waited for word on loved ones. Pastors from nearby churches offering support.
We all know, and we're all prepared right now, that we're going to hear names and we're going to know every one of them.
This is the gunman, 26-year-old Devin Kelly. His rampage inside and outside the church only coming to an end when a local resident fired his rifle at him. The gunman, dressed in all black and a ballistic vest, dropping his weapon and fleeing.
The gentleman with the rifle came to my truck as the shooter took off, and he briefed me quickly on what had just happened and said that we had to get him, and so that's what I did.
Our local citizen pursued the suspect at that time. A short time later, as law enforcement responded, that suspect ran off the roadway and crashed out and was found deceased in his vehicle.
Among those killed, the pastor's 14-year-old daughter, Annabelle Pomeroy. Pastor Frank Pomeroy saying he wants the world to know his daughter was one very beautiful, special child. Seen in this video just a week ago inside the tiny church, Pastor Pomeroy, who was out of town at the time of the shooting, says every one of his close friends is among the dead. Many children caught up in the mass shooting, including a 6-year-old boy who is undergoing surgery after being shot 4 times.
We are dealing with the largest mass shooting in our state's history. There's so many families who've lost family members, fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters.
This act of evil occurred as the victims and their families were in their place of sacred worship. We cannot put into words the pain and grief we all feel.
It's understood the suspect is a former US Air Force member who was dishonourably discharged for an assault on his partner and child. His motive is unknown, but his method all too familiar.
We've lost some great friends today, and we had some really great friends injured. The people who did Sunday schools, the people who did the Thursday night meals, the people who played the music, any type of act that they were doing in the church, there was somebody lost in almost every aspect.
The atrocity unlikely to change a thing when it comes to US gun laws. Kirsty Johansson, SBS World News.
It was still November the 5th in the US when the gunman opened fire inside the Sutherland Springs First Baptist Church. It was the 309th day of the year and the 307th mass shooting. The Gun Violence Archive, which collates shooting figures across the US, defines a mass shooting as the death or injury of at least 4 people. This year, 3,362 children aged 17 and under have been killed or injured by gunfire. In total, almost 27,000 people have been shot and injured, and more than 13,000 killed. So far, there have been 52,330 shooting incidents in America this year. That's already 500 more than the total number of shooting incidents in 2014. Former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who was herself shot in the head, said the alarming frequency with which we watch terrifying scenes unfold in our communities is devastating, and it's not normal. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy described the deaths as uniquely and tragically American and called on his colleagues to think about whether the support of the gun industry was worth the blood that flows endlessly onto the floors of American churches, elementary schools, movie theatres and city streets.